More insight and perspective on this new security strategy by Japan. I'm joined here in Washington by Eric Wertheim. He's the author of Combat Fleets to the World. And Eric, why don't I begin by just asking you, what do you think Japan's intentions are here? How do you read this?
Well, I think it's very important to put things into perspective and look at it in terms of, this is really reversing a trend from the past 10 years of Japan's defense cuts, and now they're increasing it by about 5% over the next 5 years. So that's the first thing. They did it for the past couple of years. There has been a decline, and now they're reversing that. And they've been looking at what that has gotten them. Has it helped? And I think they're looking to reverse that trend.
And they're also shifting some of their priorities towards the East China Sea, which we know there's been a lot of tensions mounting in that area. Is there anything that both sides can do to kind of ratchet things down? Because China and Japan have had some very intense, I would say, tensions over the Diaoyu Islands.
Absolutely. The contested islands, of course, are for Japan. They feel in many ways bullied, and they feel that they're concerned that China is trying to change the status quo by force, and they've kind of said that as this is part of the plan to try and deal with those challenges as they see. They feel that they're surrounded, of course, by China and North Korea and Russia, and they feel varying degrees of concern about those. Their armed forces, in many ways, the Japanese maritime and air and ground self-defense forces are dwarfed by, the Chinese have a military of over 2 million, and the Russia and North Korea both have a military of over 1 million, and where Japan has a 250,000 person defense force. So that is causing concern, and they're talking about, how should we make sure we use it and enhance it to be able to do the missions that we need to in the years ahead.
I was talking to Dr. Chung Lee earlier today about some of the relations between Japan and China, and one of the things that he points out is that the Chinese still have, the feelings are very raw about what happened during World War II. And while Germany has apologized for some of the events that occurred during World War II, Japan hasn't. And there still seems to be this lingering tension there. And now to see buildup, there's concerns among neighbors. What can Japan do to kind of minimize those, or what should it do?
I think both sides need to be aware and look at things from the other side's perspective. And I think looking for instance at the way that when there are tensions, being able to look at, for instance, like how different countries are viewing it. For instance, when China says something, Japan has to understand it from their perspective, and I would hope that China would be able to understand it from the Japanese perspective. Those things, transparency, are also very important.
U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry made the remark on Tuesday saying this is not a sudden response to something or anything that anybody should get particularly upset about. And yet, it seems like any kind of, it's almost tit for tat. There's someone takes one step here, the other perceives it one way, and then they respond. Do you think that's his attempt at trying to ratchet down any perceived concerns on the part of China?
Yes, absolutely. And I think there's an effort to be able to show, that the U.S. is, of course, facing major budget cuts, and they want to be able to reassure their allies, while at the same time showing that there is an effort to stabilize things and make sure it doesn't get any worse.
All right, Eric, thank you so much for coming in, giving us your perspectives. Certainly appreciate it.